Tatiyanna, may I ask, you were just saying about calling people out when they are behaving in non-sex positive ways. And it looked like you were about to introduce another thought too, and I hope you do. But I was wondering if you could say a little bit more about that. Have you had experience calling people out or seen people being called out in ways that has been helpful, not just sort of bashing and shaming in productive ways?
Yeah, honestly, when you're a woman or a vulva owner being in that position, chances are you're going to retaliate in a way that is negative, right? Because you're put in such a weird position and all you want to do is protect yourself, right? So I feel like it's the mans or penis owners, people who hang around men, predators, responsibility to call them out, call out your friends, because your friend may be a little creepier than you realize. And at the end of the day, just a lot of people weren't taught consent and boundaries. So when you watch this domino effect happen, it's putting a lot of people in danger. So when we think about how can I stop future generations and tomorrow's problems right there with a conversation, I've noticed that a lot of men conversations sound like locker room talk, right? This is what I did with her. This is what we did together, da, 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 da. And it's this competition. And it's a really dangerous conversation that these men are enabling. So I think the most important thing you can do is like, when you realize that your male friend is like seeing a woman or a vulva owner as a conquest, call them out. If you see that their eyes are there and it's like, oh yeah, she wants me, they want me, leave her alone, leave them alone. I think it's so important because your friends respect you a lot. So if they can hear it from you, they can consider it. And I've noticed, and I don't want to give away my age, if you can cut it out, but like what I've noticed is that a lot of young guys, they don't realize what they're doing is wrong. And I wish it was instinctive, but unfortunately it's not, because it's been allowed for generations and generations and generations. But the moment you call them out, they're kind of like, oh, really? That's what we do? That's what it sounds like? That's what it looks like? And they're alarmed because they have no clue. So when you can call out your friends and say, what you're doing is inappropriate, what you did freaked her out, all of a sudden they can start having that conversation, because I think it's the man's responsibility. Women or vulva owners will be more likely to retaliate because they are scared, and the first instinct is to protect themselves.
I think you got cut off. You were about to say something?
Yeah, I was just, I forgot what I was going to say, but I was just listening to it, and it's just awful. Like, I mean, I'm obviously a man, but I'm not like a predatory man. So I'm like listening.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm out, in the streets, and men are attracted to me as well. And it's like, men can be scary. I'm out there with my little stun gun too, ready to stun somebody. You do. And what I was going to say is, you absolutely, as women, and the term that we're using tonight, vulva owners, I love that. Absolutely need to be protecting yourselves. And I do agree that men need to be stepping up, making sure that we're protecting women as well. So I'm glad we're having this conversation.
Yeah. I feel like I want to chime in and say, to be fair, I hope that we can all acknowledge that not every predator is a male identified person. There are all kinds of predators. And so I think that's important to state too, because I wouldn't want anyone to think that we're man bashing, but it does tend to be men who I've received harassment from.
I want to be clear that I'm only speaking from personal experience, and I'm not bashing any gender. I'm talking about the experiences I've had to date in my life.
For sure.
And if they were different, I would say they're different, but I'm accurately reporting from the front lines my own personal experience, which I'm doing a caveat because I'm trying to be like polite, but it's like, I haven't been harassed by people that identify with women the way that I've been harassed by people that identify with men. And I do understand, I can resonate with them it's not an accident that we have over 7 billion people on the planet. Men's sex drive is people that own the penis that have a burning urge to dock it in as many places as possible. That's the lizard brain. I'm filled with importance. I need to pack my importance into every available folder. That is my deep animalistic drive. And for most of human history, you were guaranteed a pussy. You were guaranteed a helpmate, a slave, a sexual slave, a domestic service, a guaranteed uterus that would pump out more assistance to help you. That was the contract. Marriage wasn't, you weren't in love with the person. It was weird to marry for marriage. Women had no economic opportunities. Your only available gig was to be married. And when you were married, you were a sexual slave, a helpmate, a domestic, a household manager, and that was the only job available. And for the first time in human history, marriage isn't the only option available, and our economics are shifting. And men that were used to, well, but women can't leave the house unescorted because if they do, they get raped. That's what you get. Why would you leave a house unescorted? That's been all of human history. And for the first time, we don't have to do that. We have economic abilities and rights. And people that were guaranteed a helpmate just because of their gender don't have it anymore. And we're doing a massive cultural, economic, and sociological shift. And men are still, a lot of men, hashtag not all men, are dealing with that primitive animal brain. But I get that. And you grow up in a culture, Reba had referenced this idea that there would be someone that would just know, like to be asked what I want sexually, they should just know. Men are given a toxic mindset from birth with our media that you are guaranteed a hot banging bikini model that's going to look up to you adoringly. And when they become adults, they're like, where's that hot bikini model that I was guaranteed as a penis owner? And they get twitchy, not having that. And they're also not used to having to earn the right to interact with women, because for all of human history, the woman was guaranteed. You got the ring on the finger, you got the pussy. You didn't have to be good at social skills. You didn't have to be good at wooing a woman. I'm a penis holder. I get that. Now you're like, wait, I actually have to earn it? Fuck! Here's a dick pic for you. What more do you need?
I agree. Somebody earlier tonight used the word entitlement, and I think that's exactly what you're describing. It's also interesting. You just brought up the oft-used hashtag not all men, and I was going to say in regards to what Reba was saying. Yeah, it is important to acknowledge that that men aren't the only predators out there, but just like the hashtag not all men was responded to with no, not all men, but hashtag yes, all women have had to endure this. So again, this isn't about the collective male's fragile ego in saying like something's wrong with you. It's about acknowledging, and I'm going to try to tie this back in because Sampson, I had the same sort of reaction as you, and every time I hear women talking about the attention, the unwanted attention, and the attention that ranges from gross to predatory and dangerous that women encounter on a near daily, if not daily basis. As a male in our culture, I forget about that because I do have that privilege not to think about it. So it is super helpful to hear when it comes up, even if it's painful, to talk about those experiences. I appreciate that. Reba, like when you posted that message you got on Facebook, to be able to see that, it helps. And I think that is, like Tatiyanna, you were saying, another way of calling people out, of having men question themselves, of a man who might think, no, but what I'm writing is completely flattering, and they will get that. They will get that because that's where it's coming from. It'll take a moment to say like, oh, if they didn't like that other message, am I writing the same thing? And I think that's super helpful to call oneself into question if you're a male thinking.
Accountability, yeah.
I also think that it's important. I have noticed that men, not all men, hashtag not all men, need to center themselves in the conversation, be like, but not me. I'm not like that. I'm not one of those guys. Well, if you're not, then this conversation isn't about you.
Exactly.
And so people have to get in the conversation. Well, this doesn't apply to me. I'm a good guy. Well, then good. You're not part of this. You're not part of the problem. So it's being a good, ethical, decent person is important, but also if it's not about you, you don't need to center yourself in the conversation and ask for attention cookies and gold stars.